MacVoices is sponsored by MintMobile. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/MacVoices. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is MacVoices, the talk of the Apple community. And this is the second part of our discussion with Bob, Dr. MacLeVitus, about being productive while working from home, something we're all getting used to. It's just that Bob didn't have to get used to it because he's been doing it for a long time. In the first part of our discussion, Bob talked about working from home and some of the challenges he faced, how he overcame them, and gives some tips on how maybe you can overcome some of your problems in working from home. In this next section, he offers some additional tips, names an essential productivity device, and shows off another device that is kind of surprising that helps him stay focused, or sort of focused. Here's Bob, Dr. MacLeVitus. I'm glad that you brought up the point of, that you have expenses and you have to keep the lights on, because that's so easy to get lost. Right now, there are a lot of companies that are giving things away, and that's great, and there's nothing wrong with it. So don't misread me here.
I could.
Yeah,
but
at the same
solopreneur.
Sure. At the same time, that there's a reason they're doing it. They want to make sure that you become a customer, and maybe now, at least in theory, you'll have a little more time to experiment with what they're doing. Apple is giving 90 days of a 90-day full trial of Final Cut and Logic.
Oh, nice. I did not know that. Ooh, I'm going to write a column about that because I use both, and I think everybody who wants to do those things should try them because they are both amazing apps. And they're not that expensive. How much are they now? $199 each?
Yeah,
I know Logic
like
is $199 because I checked it for the book.
Yeah,
I think Final Cut's $199 now.
Yeah, and I mean, I use Final Cut regularly. I do not use Logic, and so I'm going to sign up because I want to learn and get my feet wet. And if it's not for me, then that's fine. But I've got 3 months to do it. A little bit. I'm not a music guy, Bob. I love music, but I'm not a music production person.
But the thing is, if you understand the interface, the metaphor in GarageBand,
right,
you'll grok Logic Pro almost immediately, because the interfaces, even though Logic Pro is much more powerful and sophisticated and has more of everything, at first glance, if you just look at them, and squint, it's hard to tell them apart. I'm serious. So, a lot of the things that you know how to do just from goofing around in GarageBand, you'll open up Logic Pro and go, oh, yeah, I know how that works. The rubber bands, like for volume. Same thing, same interface. All the plugins work the same. You can open a GarageBand project in Logic Pro. It just opens. Doesn't work the other way. You can't really go from Logic to GarageBand easily anymore.
Right.
It used to be they had the same file format. It was great. You just work in either one.
Yeah.
But 90 days free. That is hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to my voice right now, go to the Mac App Store and download either or both Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro. If you want to make movies, Final Cut Pro. I've used every nonlinear editor that's ever been out for the Mac. I'm sure of it. I've been making movies since I can't even remember what the first app I used was. I think I used QuickTime Player to splice together pieces of video shot with a quick take camera. Little 160 by 120 videos. So I've used them all, and Final Cut Pro it's just like butter. Yeah. It's like it gives you everything you need to make the stuff that you see on big screens. And it's really easy to fine-tune your work so it looks right. I just love that program. I wish I had more to do in it. I mean, I don't really produce that much video anymore, but I sure love it.
Well, and listen, I'm not going to start giving out Final Cut courses here because I really haven't done the research on those as to who's doing discounts or whatever. But at the very least, if there's something you want to learn, Google it on Facebook and see somebody most likely has posted something that you can at least get started with. And if
there's probably a group, and if the group is lively,
that's true
there's
too.
Discussions going on where people are talking about all the things that you're thinking in your head, And if you don't know something and you ask a question, somebody that's been using it longer than you will answer and tell you, hey, you could do it this way or this way. So, like, for example, my course is hosted by a company called Thinkific, and their forum on Facebook is filled with people who know all the stuff I don't know about the back end and how to make things work. And so they're fabulous resources, and they're free. And people are just, I have to say, people are very generous in these groups on Facebook. They give away a lot for free, just because they want you to they want you to have the joy they have. So a lot of these guys they're not even in the business. They're just other people using Thinkific. They have courses and they did something that worked. And if you're wondering about how to do this or that, great place to find out. And I know there's a big Final Cut affinity group. Also, for Apple stuff, the Apple discussion boards in their support portal, really good. I know their GarageBand and Final Cut Pro are really good discussion boards if you want to know how to do something that's not in the help. Chances are, if you search there, you're going to find a bunch of people talking about it and more than one way to get around whatever it is that's stymieing you.
Yeah, and these are good times right now because you probably do have a little more time at home and you need something to distract you, or just hopefully you have more time, and now is the time to do that, because once we all come out of this, well, maybe you can come out of it with a new skill.
Oh yeah, I have another one. I have Swift Playgrounds. I'm going to look at. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a programmer, and I never have been able to. My brain doesn't think codely. I mean, I don't have a coder's brain, and I've tried before, and it just doesn't really make sense to me. I've done it, I hello world, but I'm thinking maybe Swift is different because it's very visual as opposed to a lot of curly braces and typing and balancing things, and it looks like a lot of it is drag and drop, and that I know how to do. So I'm thinking maybe if I learn a little Swift, I can build stuff in the computer instead of physical things.
Yeah. Bob, being a music guy, I was anxious to get your take on how you work with music or don't work with music. Do you prefer silence, or do you want something in the background?
I go back and forth. It depends. Most of the time, I don't play music at all, only because I'm going to be talking on the phone and watching video and stuff like that. And it's just, I like to listen to music and let a whole album play through. I don't like to turn it on and off and on and off. So during the day, I don't usually, but when I'm trying to write, a lot of times I will say to the S lady, play Baroque music or play classical music or play piano jazz, because I can't listen to stuff with lyrics if I'm trying to write. I get all confused and I start writing in my book lyrics to songs. They start showing up in sentences subconsciously. I'll hear something and I'll go, sitting on the park bench. Okay. So I don't listen to stuff with words. I used to have a thing called Focus at Will that played scientifically designed music for focusing. But it cost money, and I wasn't sure it worked, but it was pleasant to turn on and not think about, what I'm listening to. It was just ambient music. And it was tuned for different brain types. So there were ADHD and focus types, and there were deep thinking and relaxing and, different kinds of scientifically, I don't know. I think maybe it's hokum, but I also listen to pink noise and white noise sometimes. If there's something going on around ambiently that's bugging me, I'll crank up some pink or white noise just to blot it out. Also, I have noise canceling headphones now, and I am known to put them in and turn on noise canceling and not play anything, because they do filter out street noise and things like that. So I am not a big listen to music while I work guy. And when I do, it's not the music I usually would choose to listen to. I don't know the name of most of what I would listen to while I work. I let the S lady pick. I don't know that much about classical music. It's like, just play some classical music.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll say, play the Four Seasons, because I know how that goes. Or play some Beethoven. But it doesn't matter to me. It's just I need something in the background.
Well, there was no right or wrong answer. As far as I'm concerned, it's just what
my
suits
personal
you.
preference. I used to listen to hard rock all the time. Headphones too. When I was working at an ad agency, I'd put on headphones to keep people away, and I'd be listening to. Well, you know what kind of music I like. Yeah.
Well, because we share some of that. I mean, that's something I've kind of gotten back to now that I'm working at home, is that I will put on something instrumental, and usually something along the lines of a shredder, of some kind, and that a lot of upbeat rhythms, a lot of it fills in it keeps me from being distracted. And so I found that to be a way for me to get, as you said, in the zone.
Hey, I'm going to try that. I'm going to say, hey, S lady, play me some shredders.
Yeah. John 5.
What that means.
Sure. Well, John 5 or Joe Satriani or Yngwie Malmsteen. Again, I prefer not to have the vocals because then I start listening to them. But the instrumental stuff is phenomenal. Steve Vai, just some great stuff. And it keeps you energized.
Eric Johnson has a new album out.
I saw that. Yes, Eric Johnson, another good one.
But he's someone I like. I listen to. If I'm going to pick an album, a bunch of his albums are things I could listen to, even the ones with words, because there aren't that many, and mostly it's guitar.
Yeah. Okay, so another question I wanted to ask you, and this is going to be a tough one.
You are such a well-prepared interviewer.
Well, we don't get to talk enough. So if you had to pick one key piece of productivity gear, other than your Mac, I mean, that's sort of a given, but other than the Mac, what would be the one piece that you would say everybody needs to get? And not necessarily just your particular model or brand, but you can make it generic if you want, or you can make it specific.
I'm making it specific. My Apple Watch. It's great.
Oh,
it's fabulous. Are you kidding? I am always saying to my wrist, remind me to do this in 15 minutes. Remind me to do this tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Remind me that Chuck will be calling at 4 o'clock today. It's my memory. And the older I get and the more forgetful I become, the more I depend on storing that stuff somewhere and getting an alert, because I get distracted. So if I'm writing and something important is supposed to happen in 10 minutes, I need to know, because otherwise I'll just type away for another half hour, because it doesn't dawn on me, even though I saw it on my calendar this morning, that at 2 o'clock I'm supposed to call my mom or whatever. So the Apple Watch also, it keeps me active. It keeps me, because I close all 3 of those rings every day and I walk 10,000 steps a day. It kind of pesters me if I don't. So if I haven't gone for a walk by about 10 o'clock in the morning, my watch will tap me on the wrist and go, your rings are usually a little further along by now, Bob. You might want to go out and walk a little or something. And for me, that's what I need. It's like a gentle kick in the butt. And there's nobody I can yell at. It's like, I can't, shut up. Watch doesn't care if I say shut up. Also, timers. So like I cook stuff, I just set the 10-minute timer for a pizza in the oven. I haven't burnt anything in years. What else does the watch do? Oh, it tells me the temperature and if it's going to rain, like in the next hour. Like an alert if it's going to rain at my address, not generally, but micro weather, dark sky, or there's a bunch of them. But it's so accurate. It's like light rain starting in 10 minutes. And I look out the window 10 minutes later, and sure enough, there's light rain just starting. Rain stopping in 5 minutes. It's like, good, I'll go for a walk as soon as it stops. And right on the watch. So I have found it very useful for lots of things, but mostly instant reminders without fumbling for the phone or, trying to write stuff down or put it in the reminders app. Or don't have to do any of that. Just say to the S lady, hey, remind me of this, remind me of that.
This edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by MintMobile. If you're still using one of the big wireless providers this year, have you asked yourself what you're paying for? Between expensive retail stores, inflated prices, and hidden fees, you're being taken advantage of because they know you'll pay. Enter Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile provides the same premium network coverage you're used to, but at a fraction of the cost because everything is online. Mint Mobile saves on retail locations and overhead, then passes those savings directly to you. When you're ready to make the switch to Mint Mobile, and you should be by now, just visit their website at mintmobile.com/MacVoices and sign up. Pick your data plan from the 3, 8, or 12 gigabyte options, and even better, Mint Mobile offers you 3, 6, or 12-month plans. Once you have your plan, decide whether you want to use your existing phone or get a new one from Mint Mobile. And yes, of course they have iPhones. Then they will send your new SIM to you, and their easy-to-follow videos make it super simple for anyone to drop it in, and you're up and running. Want to keep your old number and all your contacts on your phone? No problem. Just let Mint Mobile know, and they'll walk you through the process. I can't stress enough the quality of both the voice and data coverages I've experienced, as well as the quality of Mint Mobile's customer support. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/MacVoices. That's mintmobile.com/MacVoices. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Mint Mobile for their support of Mac Voices. I did not see that coming. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And the sort of the embarrassing thing for me is I know how many times I do exactly those things, but it's become so ingrained with me now that I don't even realize that I'm that dependent on it.
People see me talking into my watch all the time. And I feel like, I used to be a little shy about it or embarrassed when I talk. Now it's like just, hey, this is how I do. This is what I do. It's that my phone sits in my pocket. I don't take my phone out very much. I get the important alerts on my watch.
There's one now.
No. It's my son, and he and my daughter and my wife are the only 3 calls that will go through when it's on Do Not Disturb.
Okay.
They're family.
All right. Well, since they're calling you, they must want you. But if you don't mind, let's take just a couple quick minutes here.
I'm still here. I am on Do Not Disturb, which means, actually, I should turn it off. Well, I'll leave it on until we're done. I also set a reminder to turn the air conditioner back on because I had to turn it off because you can hear it in the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll pop up in 15 minutes.
All right. So
and otherwise, I'd forget and the house would get all hot.
Well, yeah, we don't want that. No. So I want to go over, though, everything that you have to offer out there. And you talked about some of the things, but I want to make sure we get everything. And I guess the hub for it all is working smarter for MacUsers.com.
Yes. And if you just put a /free at the end of that, you can download the productivity worksheets. So, and there's some other stuff in the free page, but that's the big value. That's the one you want.
Okay.
And from there, there's a link to the course and the book, and I'll get you some coupon codes you can use for those. And if you want to apply for a scholarship for the course, Bob at workingsmarterformacusers.com, just send me an email and tell me your hard luck story, and I'll give you a scholarship.
You said 500 words, and I like that. I like that because you're right. I
don't want somebody to write to me and say, "Can I please have free course?" It's like that took no effort and no thought. And how do I know that you need it or want it or care? If I say 500 words, for most people, 500 words is an undertaking. It's not something you go about lightly. And, it's not like, oh, well, I'll just say yeah to that offer. It's like, oh, I have to think about it. I have to actually come up with coherent sentences. And I feel like for this, I really want to know that you want it and you're not just getting it because it's free. And I've only got a limited number to give away. If I had unlimited numbers, I wouldn't bother. But I can only handle so many students. So this is my way of filtering out the ones that just want something for free. If you really need it, I'm happy to give it to you. But I'm asking you to write 500 words to show me you're serious. It's a 5-hour course. I mean, you're going to have to work. So there is no homework, of course. It's not that kind of course. But
yeah, well, and there's the old thing of, if you make people pay for something, they value it more. And, in this case, you're paying with your time to apply for the scholarship. It's
That's
not
correct. You have an investment in it rather than just, hey, give me that free thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really like that idea.
Well, we'll see how it goes. After the first 30 fill up, if I have time, I'll offer more. I really think if you're like me, the stuff that took me 30 years to learn is just having it all condensed and available all in one place without having to try a million. I tried a lot of stuff that's not in the book and not in the course. And what's there is the stuff that I found that works. And you don't have to do any of that. You get the benefit of my 30 years of being obsessed with productivity and it distilled down into, either a 5-hour course or a 300-page book.
And I also find that the more of these courses I take or books I read or whatever, not everything applies to me or works for me.
Absolutely.
But I experiment with things. I find the ones that do, and I end up being a more productive person for it. So, it's kind of a long-term quest to find those things. And, but I also, I would much rather talk to somebody that has done what you've done and experimented with so many of them. And these are the ones that work for you. Okay. So that to me said there's a better chance that they're going to work for me as well.
It's funny. I describe Working Smarter as a toolbox of the things that either work for me or I know work. Maybe I don't personally use them anymore, or I used them for a while and found something I like better. But it is exactly that. It's a toolkit, and you can pick the parts that work for you, So for some people, Pomodoro is going to be the thing that just puts them over the top productivity-wise. For other people, writing a plan is going to be the thing. For some people, boning up on their Mac skills, learning to type faster, use snippets, things like that to automate repetitive tasks. Maybe that's the thing. But I the way I see it is, if you don't know what those things are, you can't figure out which ones work for you. And I've kind of cherry-picked the ones that have the best chance of working for someone else and all the ones that work for me. And so, this is build your own. And it really says that in the introduction. It says, I'm not saying these are the best things or that these will work for everybody, but they're all worth thinking about. They're all worth considering. Try them. And that's the whole thing, is mix and match until you get a system that works for you. And for me, it's the combination of a plan and Pomodoros and turning off distracting things, all the things that we just talked about. For me, those are the things that make it so I can leave the office by 4 or 5 o'clock every day and go do stuff I want to do. Yours might be different, but they're probably in the book and the course.
Sure.
I've gone through a lot of stuff. In fact, I have shelves full of things I've bought that are supposed to help you be more productive. Getting things done, self-journal, bullet journal. I mean, I've tried really all of the things that have come along in the last 5 or 10 years that purport to help you, be more productive and shorten your workday. I read the 4-hour work week, I think it was. This guy says you can do all your work in 4 hours a week. I have a word for that, and it's
and doesn't belong on this show.
It's not family friendly, right?
Yeah.
But I've read so much. When I found out I had ADHD, I went absolutely just total obsessive with figuring out how to stop procrastinating, how to not waste half of my day every day. And you know, over time, I found a lot of things that work. And some of them I still do, some of them I don't do anymore, some of them I don't need to do. You outgrow some of them, you know? Like, I used to have to really work hard not to go on eBay or YouTube or Facebook while I was working. You know, I kind of shiny objects. But over time, I don't have to do anything. I just don't, by habit, don't do that. If I need to do Facebook, I do it on my phone when I'm out walking around or something, when I'm not supposed to be sitting at my desk with my fingers on the keyboard. Oh yeah, I had one more thing that really has helped. All right, ready? You know, I say the hardest part about, can you see that? That's straps on my chair. So here's the thing. The hardest part of being a writer is keeping your ass in the chair. And so when I'm really having a tough time with it, I literally strap to the chair.
Okay, this is a new one. I haven't seen this one, folks.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Now, this does two things. Number one, it forces me to sit erect with my back curved properly, not hunched over. And second, it makes it really difficult to go like get something out of the refrigerator or go play with something on my bookshelf. This reminds me that my fingers are supposed to be on the keyboard and that I'm supposed to have my butt in the chair. It's sold as a back support system. It's designed to relieve back stress by keeping you sitting with a curve, and it works for that too. But for me, it's one of those things at the beginning of a 25-minute session, if I strap these on, then I have like double incentive not to get up because I have to loosen them. And it's not, it's a thing. It's just one more reminder. Now, I don't know that I would have bought this to keep my ass in the chair. I bought it because my back hurts, and it is a good cushion, and I use it all the time because I tend to hunch over when I type. And it's almost like this prevents me from that bad habit that I can't cure myself of. I type when I'm typing. I lean over like this, and my back doesn't touch the back of the chair, and it's really terrible for my back. And if I do it for more than about an hour, it hurts when I get up. I'm all stiff, and so this thing really helps. But it has a side effect. It keeps my ass in the chair.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't think she makes them anymore. She was, one of these Kickstarter ladies.
Mm. Well, but
she might have sewn them herself.
Yeah, somebody can do something, or you can jury rig something. I mean, it's just a concept. I think it doesn't have to be deadly perfect. Just, I mean, heck, get yourself an extra
belt, belt,
a really big belt. You're right, and wrap it around yourself. It's like, okay, that's my reminder. I've got to finish this task before I unhook this belt and go to the refrigerator or whatever.
It works. I'm telling you, I love having this thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't put the straps on every day. I put the straps on maybe a few times a month. But when I want to remind myself that I've got a lot to do and I really don't have time to goof around, the straps help. Because I'll think, okay, I'm going to go, oh, okay, 25 minutes. I can't go till the bell goes off.
Exactly. So Working Smarter for MacUsers.com is where you go to get all of Bob's wisdoms and everything. Yes. Bob, where can folks contact you on social media? Or are you still active on social media at this point? Twitter
is at LeVitus, LeVitus. Bob LeVitus at Facebook. I think I'm Bob LeVitus at LinkedIn. I'm kind of anti-social media. I don't really, I don't know. I have followers on both Facebook and Twitter, and I never post anything interesting, really. I don't have that much interesting to say. I do post all of the stuff that I write for other people. Like when I write something for the Mac Observer, I usually tweet it and put it on Facebook and stuff. And I retweet lots of stuff if I find it interesting, clever, or funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not really that interesting to follow. Read my column every week. My column is really that's where I put my energy, socially.
Right.
This week, by the way, is it today? No, tomorrow, I believe.
As we record this.
Well, I don't know what day it's going to be when this comes out.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Someday right around now is World Backup Day.
Ah, yes.
So I wrote a column about that last week. And basically said, so I think April 1st should be called World Test Your Backup Day. Because everybody talks about doing backups, but nobody says, if you don't test them, they're worthless because they may not work. And what good is a backup that doesn't work? People don't say, oh, gee, that's a good idea. So one of my things is, okay, so we got World Backup Day. You've been hearing this from me for 30 years. Now you're going to hear something new. Restore Day. Test your backup day.
And that is not a bad thing because, I tend to think of that as just part of the whole process of, evaluating and doing your backups. But you're right. It's very easy to just say, hit the button on something like Carbon Copy Cloner. It's copied over. I'm covered.
Yeah.
And you better be sure.
Try booting from that disk every once in a while. Carbon Copy Cloner is really good about reporting when things go bad, but test it. Test it. Make sure that it does what you think it's going to do before a disaster strikes.
Amen.
That's my advice this week.
Bob, thanks so much. It's great to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. Chuck?
I learned a lot of things here this time, not the least of which is strap yourself to your chair. I kind of like that.
It works.
I kind of like that. Well, we will do it again soon.
Absolutely. I got lots more stuff to talk about. I'll be able to tell you how I'm doing with SketchUp.
All right. Great. Well, by all means, yes, sir. Stay safe, okay?
You too.
Thanks.
During the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I think they're clawing at my windows now. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. We'll have links to everything that Bob and I talked about in the show notes, so go check them out at MacVoices.com. Until the next time, thanks for watching, and you stay safe as well. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.